We are Television bring you, as usual, another collection of latest happenings and developments in the business arena, easing your decision-making moments. Now let's have a look at the headlines for today. President announces that all agricultural lands needs to be used for an agriculture offensive. Central Bank Governor announces increases in policy rates after 5 months. CSC Chairman says every single initial public offering launched last year was oversubscribed. News in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa declared open the second session of the 9th Parliament of Sri Lanka last Tuesday. The government's policy statement was then presented to the House. The statement presented by the President touched on several key topics, which included agriculture, education, technology and the economy.
The President explained that in the future, to curb fuel expenses and become carbon neutral by 2050 in accordance with Global Compact for New Coal Energy, electric vehicles will be prioritized and that these will be powered by renewable sources. The President pointed out several hydro, wind and solar projects that are intended to support such an endeavour. Touching on the vital role played by technology in the development of a country, the President spoke of the new Ministry of Technology established to regulate and guide the TRCSL, ICTA and CERT, as well as the efforts taken towards widening the reach of the nation's broadband fibre network. In addition, the President spoke of the drive to expand access to high-quality education for students at all levels, where significant funds have been allocated towards expanding facilities and establishing new school and city universities. Addressing the status of the nation's agriculture, the President admitted that there had been issues while introducing the green agriculture policy, but stated that there will be no rehearsal in policy. As other policies with regard to agriculture have generated positive outcomes, the government intends to address the issues and continue with the green agriculture policy while taking steps to improve production in the coming years.
යුද්ධයෙන් අතුරුදහන් වූවන් පිළිබඳ ගැටලුව එක් පාර්ශවයකට පමණක් විශේෂ වූවක් නොවේ. ඒ සියලු දෙනා වෙනුවෙන් උපරිම සාධාරණත්වය ඉටු කිරීමට අප කටයුතු කරනවා. අප ජාතිවාදය ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා. වත්මන් රජයට අවශ්‍ය මේ රටේ සෑම පුරවැසියෙකුගේම ගෞරවය හා ඉතිවාසිකම් එකසේ ආරක්ෂා කිරීමටයි. ඒ නිසා පටු දේශපාලන අවශ්‍යතා මත ජනතාව එකිනෙකාට එරෙහිව උසිගැන්වීම දැන්වත් නතර කරන ලෙස මෙය තවදුරටත් කරන දේශපාලකයන්ගෙන් මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Through the statement, the President expressed his position on the nation's economic management, highlighting it as the major hurdle faced by his government. The President explained that the foreign remittances and tourism were the components propping up the economy and that the pandemic crippled the nation due to the negligence of previous governments.
ඉන්න අපි වැඩිම බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තබා තිබුණේ සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරය ගැනයි. සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයෙන් උපයන ආදායම වසර කිහිපයක් තුළ ඇමරිකානු ඩොලර් බිලියන 10 දක්වා වැඩි කරන්නට අප සැලසුම් කොට තිබුණා. නමුත් 2019 දෙසැම්බර් මාසයෙන් ආරම්භ වූ COVID-19 ගෝලීය වසංගතය නිසා මුළු ලෝකය පුරාම සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරය කඩා වැටුණා. මේ අනුව සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරය හරහා මෙරට ගලා වසරකට ඩොලර් බිලියන 4.5ක් පමණ වූ ආදායම 2020 හා 2021 වසරවලදී අපිට අහිමි වුණා. කොවිඩ් ගෝලීය වසංගතය නිසා විදේශ ශ්‍රමිකයන් ලක්ෂ 2ක් පමණ තම රැකියා අතහැර ආපසු ලංකාවට පැමිණීම හේතුවෙන් ඔවුන් විසින් මාසිකව මෙරටට එවන ලද විශාල මුදලක්ද අපිට අහිමි වුණා. දිගින් දිගටම රට වසා තැබීම හේතුවෙන් අලුතින් විදේශ ආයෝජන ආකර්ෂණය කරන්නට අපට හැකියාවක් ලැබුණේ නැහැ. අපේ සංචිත ප්‍රමාණය ඉතා පහළ මට්ටමකට වැටි භාණ්ඩ ආනයනයේ වැඩි දුෂ්කරතාවන් ඇති වුණේ අපේ පාලනයෙන් තොරව සිදුවීමේ නොවැළැක්විය හැකි ක්‍රියාදාමය නිසායි. අපේ සංචිත ඉහළ නංවා නොගෙන අපේ ආනයන අවශ්‍යතාවයන් සපුරාලන්නට හැකියාවක් නැහැ. දීර්ඝ කාලීනව මේ ගැටලුවෙන් මිදෙන්නට නම් අප නව උත්පාදන අපනයන විවිධාංගීකරණය හා අගය එකතු කිරීම වැනි ක්‍රමවේද හරහා අපේ අපනයන කර්මාන්තයේ විශාල දියුණුවක් ඇති කළ යුතුමයි. ඒ වගේම විදේශ මුදල් ආකර්ෂණය කරගන්නා සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරය, විදේශයන් සඳහා පුහුණු ශ්‍රමිකයන් යොමු කිරීම, පරිගණක හා තොරතුරු තාක්ෂණය වැනි ශේෂ්ත්‍රයන්හි විශාල දියුණුවක් ඇති කළ යුතුයි.
CBSL Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral said last Tuesday that the $500 million international sovereign bond, which matured on the same day, was successfully paid. The governor also said that any dollar shortage at banks will be covered by central bank as it is bound to do so. The governor had earlier stated that the required forex was allocated for the $500 million ISB. The rating agencies Moody's, Fitch and S&P had downgraded Sri Lanka's sovereign rating, fueling skepticism of debt default as well as raising concerns over debt repayment capacity. The $500 million ISB was part of the nearly $7 billion total debt repayment schedule for this year. Another international sovereign bond worth $1 billion will be maturing in July. The government as well as the CBSL consistently insisted that Sri Lanka will not default but continue to maintain its record of honoring debt commitments. Sri Lanka has repaid ISBs worth $2 billion in 2020 and 2021, whilst overall debt repayment amounted to approximately $6 billion in the past 2 years. Sri Lanka faces $25 billion in sovereign foreign currency obligations until 2026. The main opposition Samagi Jana Balawegaya last week charged that the government is caught up in a vicious circle of its own lies and that the country is going from bad to worse due to its sheer mismanagement. Addressing the Samagi Jana Balawegya's weekly economic briefing, Samagi Jana Balawegaya parliamentarian Dr. De Silva said that not a single investor has taken seriously on the government's offer of long-term leases on identified high-value properties and buildings to raise $1.5 billion.
අපි අහන්නේ ප්‍රශ්නේ හැටියට කරුණාකරලා අපිට කියන්න ජනාධිපතිවරයා චීනයෙන් ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කරන්න ඉල්ලලා තියෙද්දි අගමැතිවරයා ඉන්දියාවෙන් ණය ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කරන්න ඉල්ලලා තියෙද්දි මේ රටේ බොහෝ ස්වාධීන ආර්ථික විශේෂඥයෝ මේ ණය ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කළ යුතුයි කියන තැන ඉඳද්දි ආයෝජකයෝ පවා ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කිරීමකට සූදානම් කියලා ඉඳද්දි මේ රටේ මිනිස්සුන්ට විශාල ආර්ථික අර්බුදයකට කෑම බෙහෙත් නැතුව ඉන්න තත්වයකට පත් කරලා තියෙද්දි ඇයි මහ බැංකුවේ අධිපතිවරයා මේ ජාත්‍යන්තර ස්වෛරීත්ව බැඳුම් කර පමණක් ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කරන්න කිසිසේත්ම සූදානම් නැහැ කියන තැන ඉන්නේ කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ. දැන් අවුරුදු 1.5 තිස්සේ සෙලෙන්දෑව එක හරහා විදේශ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ගොඩනැගිල්ල විකුණනවා කිව්වා. මහතපල්කාරය විකුණනවා කිව්වා. වෝටර් සෙජ් එක විකුණනවා කිව්වා. යෝක් බිල්ඩිම විකුණනවා කිව්වා. GOH එක විකුණනවා කිව්වා. කවුරුත් ආවද ගත්තද? ගත්තේ නැහැ. ඇයි ගන්නෙ නැත්තේ? ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ෆයර් සේල් එක එනකම් බලන් ඉන්නවා. ෆයර් සේල් එක කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? කුණු කොල්ලට විකුණනවා.
Stay tuned for more news. We'll be right back after a small commercial break.
Businesses in this day and age require the best communication solutions to be connected anywhere and anytime. Our technologically advanced long-distance radio devices operate even in the most challenging and harsh environments, designed for dust, water, and drop resistance. The push-to-talk function is designed for convenience, ensuring clear and uninterrupted communication between multiple devices. Dynacom Engineering, a subsidiary of IWS Holdings, is a licensed service provider of the best push-to-talk long-distance wireless communication systems, approved by the TRC and the Ministry of Defense.
10 to 10. Sponsored by
Multiple devices එකවර connect කළ හැකි internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber.
Welcome back to the Biz Roundup. Colombo Stock Exchange Chairman Dumit Fernandez said on Wednesday that every single initial public offering launched last year was oversubscribed on the very first day, stamping credibility of the stock exchange. The CSC chairman also added that this factor clearly showed investor confidence in the corporate sector.
The rapid rise in the number of equity listings. We had 13 IPOs. These are IPOs through subscription as opposed to through introduction. That means these companies actually came to the stock market for the first time and raised new capital to provide growth capital for themselves. Now, if you see in historical context, that is also a record. We had some exceptional IPOs. One of the notable items or facts from the IPOs last year was that every single one of the 13 IPOs we had was oversubscribed on the very first day. I'll repeat that. Every single IPO was oversubscribed on the very first day of subscription. So that shows you the demand and the belief in the corporate sector. It shows the credibility we have been able to build in the stock exchange over the last 12 to 18 months. And then there were 14 new companies who also listed debt on the exchange for a grand total of 28 companies. And this far exceeded the aggressive internal targets we set for ourselves.
At the same event, Chief Executive Officer of the CSC, Rajiva Bandaranaike, said that investors have increased since the COVID-19 pandemic as they saw more listings and more new accounts openings last year. He also said that 37,000 new CDS accounts were opened last year and that over 80% of them were from outside the Western Province, as against 57% opened outside Western Province in 2020.
You can't regulate really crypto, but they are looking to create a proper ecosystem and a framework within which blockchain can be accommodated in Sri Lanka as a technology, and those are the currently that's the project that is put into place. From a CSC perspective, yes, it can be a competing asset class right now, because some of the money that can potentially come into equities may be going into other forms of investments through cryptos, etc. But we still feel, given the equities and the interest among particularly the younger segment of people, Dumit referred to 30,000 accounts last year. It's interesting to see that about 80% of those that were opened through technology, through mobile apps, and a vast majority, maybe close upon again another 80%, were below 40 years of age. So that's a shift that we are seeing from earlier, where we traditionally had a 50 plus kind of investor in the equity market, but we are now seeing a younger generation coming in. And the second shift we have seen is the broad basing of it. I think predominantly 80% of the accounts are in the Western Province. Now it's only 57% that is in the Western Province, which is a good sign to see that the market is really going out and getting broad based. So we feel that still there's a lot of space, even given cryptos and other forms of asset classes that people are going into. There's still a lot of space and room for new investors to be part of equities.
A free online mentor platform for entrepreneurs was launched on the 12th of this month through a partnership between the Sasnaka Sansada Foundation and USAID's ULEAD project. The platform has a dedicated team to recruit and match mentors with mentees to ensure long-term sustainability. It can be accessed for free at www.yes.ulead.lk. The platform connects aspiring entrepreneurs across Sri Lanka with more than 100 experienced business leaders and subject matter experts. It is intended to help entrepreneurs navigate unprecedented challenges and support the long-term success of their businesses. Mentors volunteer their time and expertise towards helping entrepreneurs through USAID's ULEAD platform. ULEAD is funded through an $18 million 7-year grant from the United States, and it is implemented by the International Executive Service Corps. Its goal in Sri Lanka is to improve vocational education and training, link youth to productive careers, and strengthen entrepreneurship. It is expressed as a component of USAID's effort to promote a healthy, educated, and employment population in Sri Lanka.
As we all know, in any country to develop, the entrepreneurship plays a major role. If you really see and refer the world statistics, the most developing countries or most transitional countries, the percentage of SMEs to the total population, or rather I would say the people who are involving in small and medium enterprise sector, is approximately around 3%. Because why? We consider small and medium enterprises, or the SMEs, are backbone of the economy. I think in Sri Lanka, continuously, almost all successive government implicitly and explicitly accepted that.
Stay tuned for more news. We'll be right back after another commercial break.
Simply clever. State of Business, sponsored by
UHD quality video streaming Samaga. Internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber.
IWS Aviation.
Welcome back to the Biz RoundUp. Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral said that the Monetary Board decided to increase policy rates after 5 months to deliver a message that inflation was being dealt with and that the external sector needs to be stabilized further. Governor Cabral, speaking at a press conference at the Central Bank on Thursday, announced that almost all measures they tried in order to stabilize the external sector brought satisfactory results, and that the bank is ready to accept any other positive proposals.
The central bank decided that we would once again, after a period of about 5 months, that the policy rate would be increased, mainly because we want to give a very clear message that we would want to see the inflation being dealt with, and also to give a message that the external sector needs to be stabilized further. If you see one item of our policy measures, we have reached an agreement with the licensed commercial banks that they too would be bearing the financing and the arrangement of the financing of certain essential goods, so that it is essential goods are not only put as a burden to the state banks. So it will be in proportionate to the dollar earnings as well as the dollar incomes that they receive. We would be negotiating with them, and they will be taking a part of those bills as well, so that there will be a great stability in the overall external sector. The different strategies that were implemented are all working, and when we get further ideas, even if you give us a good idea, we might be humble enough to implement, because we think that it is necessary for us to explore all avenues. And if there are different ways in which some people are not adhering to the law, we have to take action there as well. And if we have to give more incentives, and those incentives are sufficient for us to get additional funds to come in, we will explore those as well.
The government on Wednesday warned of a rapid rise in dengue fever cases following monsoon rains, which create perfect breeding sites for mosquitoes. Health Ministry officials warned that most of the infections were recorded in the Western Province and in the Eastern Province's Bilateral district, where population density is high. At the government media conference, Additional Secretary to the State Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Maheshika Kodipiliarachchi, announced an initiative called Supirisindu Parisarayak Nirogi Matheta. Additional Secretary Kodipiliarachchi said that the event, which was conducted on the 20th and 21st, would utilize services of the 341 local government institutions to target and destroy mosquito breeding sites. The initiative prioritized areas which have reported cases of dengue. During the media conference, Dr. Indika Veerasinghe of the National Dengue Control Unit commented that by the end of December 2021, over 9,000 dengue cases were reported, and as at that moment, 5,106 cases were reported for January 2022. Speaking at the same event, Dr. Nimalka Pannila of the National Dengue Control Unit stated that the Ministry of Health alone cannot manage the situation, and that the support of other ministries who play a key role in the overall dengue control effort is required. Additionally, Director of the Solid Waste Management Unit under the State Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government, NDN Pushpakumara, elaborated on the responsibilities of the public towards supporting these efforts.
කසල නිසිලස එකතු කර ගන්න ඕන. එකතු කර ගැනීමේ වගකීමෙන් කොටසක් යනවා එකතු කරලා ලබා දීම ශ්‍රී ලංකා පුරා ජීවත් වෙන ජනතාව කසල බැහැර කිරීම ස්ථාන වශයෙන් ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් නිවස තියෙනවා. එසේම කර්මාන්තශාලා තියෙනවා. ඒතර හැම ස්ථානයකම ජනන වෙන කසල ලබා ගැනීම සිදු වෙන්නේ පළාත් පාලන ආයතනද. පළාත් පාලන ආයතන මෙම ක්‍රියාවලිය සඳහා සුජීව දායකත්වය ලබා දෙන මේ දවස් දෙකේ ඒතර කසල ලබා දීමේදී කසල එක්රැස් කර වර්ගීකරණය කර ඒ ආයතන විසින් දැනටම ලංකාවේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වන පරිදි කසල වෙන්කර තමයි ලබා ගන්නේ. මේ දවස් දෙකේදී විශේෂයෙන්ම වෙන්කර ඔබගේ කසල ලබා දුන්නොත් ඔවුන් විසින් ලබාගෙන නිසි ලෙස බැහැර කිරීම අදාළ ස්ථාන වලට රැගෙන යනවා. එසේම ඔබ බලන්න ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ සිටින සියලුම පුරවැසියන් ඉල්ලා සිටින ජීවත් වෙන පරිසරයේ නිවස පිටලා තියෙන පරිසරයේ අවට බලන්න දවස් දෙකේ තුල කොපමණ නොදිරණ කසල ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවද කියලා බලලා ඒ ප්‍රමාණය නිසි ලෙස එක්ස්ට්‍රැස් කර අදාළ පළාත් පාලන ආයතනයට බාර දෙන්න ඒ සඳහා සම්බන්ධීකරණය කිරීමට පළාත් පාලන ආයතනයේ විසින් දැනටමත් කටයුතු සංවිධානය කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඔබට ඔබගේ වගකීම තියෙන්නේ ඔබ විසින් ජනනය කරන කසල නිසි ලෙස එක්ස්ට්‍රැස් කර බාර දීම.
The Tamil National Alliance on Wednesday faulted the government's policy statement delivered by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on Tuesday after inaugurating the second session of the 9th Parliament. TNA spokesman parliamentarian M.A. Sumantiran told Parliament that the statement failed to address any of the pressing issues facing the country, adding that it had also not contained any meaningful response to the dollar shortage in the country.
He identifies the issue, he lays the blame on the shoulders of someone else, albeit his own brother, but doesn't provide a solution or direction. A policy statement of a government is one that gives a direction, one that points in a particular way to give the people confidence, one that says this is the path that we will trod, this is how we intend tackling this issue. While he makes the statement, we are told by text messages that another 500 million US dollars has been put into our begging bowl. It's like a daily existence now for this country. Someone has to, we hold a bowl and we are waiting out there. And someone has to come and give us the next meal. That is the level to which the country's finances have come to.
With that, we wind up today's news. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Until then, take care. Good night.